Now from there, you'd probably go to an access type attack, where I'm trying to escalate certain privileges within the network, gain access to devices with the network, or simply to steal corporate information from the network itself. There's also physical threats to the network. This could be anything from physical access to devices within the network to weather-related issues or facility failures. I commonly have this argument with people regarding security. Is the power supply in a particular box a security issue? Well, if that box goes down, and that box just so happens to be a single point of failure in your network, and the result of that box going down creates more than, say, 25% outage within your network, what's the difference between that power supply failing, or that whole box failing, if you will, and a distributed denial of service attack? There's no difference. From the end user perspective, the result's the same. They can't use the network to access the resources that they need to perform their function. Therefore, it's the same impact. It's not as sexy as, creating security solutions for distributed denial of service attacks and setting up firewalls and intrusion detection services. Building redundancy in your network costs you a little bit more, but it is a security solution to make sure that you have consistent uptime on your network. Now, one of the things that a lot of people talk about as far as, initial security solutions is starting with the basics. Now, the basics would be strong passwords. So some examples, I have up here is, don't use this. And it's been written out in, kind of script kiddie kind of language here, which is otherwise used as leet speak, where I've replaced zeros with O's. I've instead of writing an N, I've done a vertical bar and a slash there to indicate the N, and so on. So that's a good example of a reasonably secure password. I could have made it even more secure if I threw a capital letter in there somewhere. Other things you can try doing, and I generally prefer to do this when I build my passwords, is that if I can put inside the password somewhere a character that isn't normally typed on the keyboard, something that I can use of extended ASCII, that's generally something that would make it a very difficult password to break. Most of the password cracking utilities out there are only going to try characters that are available inside the English character set, or maybe even European or other ASCII character sets, or things that can be typed on the keyboard. They're not going to try things like the copyright symbol or registered trademark symbol or the paragraph sign. These are things that you can type, but you have to know how to do it. So in a Windows box, I'll give you the example. If you open up the keyboard mapper utility, what you can do is you can click on one of these ASCII characters, and you'll see below the Alt sequence to use it. What you do is you hold down the Alt key, and then you type in the code, let go of the Alt key, and it'll print out that one character for you. Now, not all boxes support that. In particular, Cisco doesn't support it. But there's a lot of places where you can use these in your passwords, and it makes even your short passwords very secure because the password cracking utilities aren't going to even attempt to crack with those particular keys. Another thing you can do, if you have the capability to, is you can remap your keyboard. Now, you got to be careful of this. It's got to be remapped before your operating system actually loads if you used it in your password. Commonly what I do is I take a key that I generally don't use, like the tilde or the grave key, which is right next to the 1 on a US keyboard. I'll remap it to a character that I'm going to use in my password, which I'll change from time to time. And I can use that key instead of having to type the Alt sequence or remember the Alt sequence for my special character that I might throw in my password. Other things you have to consider as far as password is disabling accounts after certain failed attempts. This is important because if somebody's attempting to brute force the password based on trying to access the account, we want to be able to disable the account after certain failed attempts.